Hi, my loves. Welcome back. I'm excited about today's topic because it's something that I'm working through myself. And I've just had a lot of insights and breakthroughs as it relates to love and understanding of myself. So, I personally went through a divorce back in 2016, feels like a lifetime ago. But there was a lot that happened after that divorce that allowed me to step into my purpose today. And I feel like going into the month of love, I think Valentine's Day is actually tomorrow. There's a lot of people who are heartbroken and have become jaded and hardened when it comes to love. I am by no means a love expert. I'm just somebody who has been doing a lot of inner work around myself, my ability to receive love, and also to have my heart open. It's really deep when you go through a divorce. I've had a lot of instances of people around me going through really tough things like moving, or leaving a relationship, or even deciding to open up to love again, right? And I've noticed a trend of we don't really talk about these things, and I think we should, because had I had this information handy back when I was 26 years old going through this, it would have really saved me a lot of heartache. And instead of burying my pain and like putting it in the closet, right? It would have really helped to have somebody who gave me the space to just vent. Did you know that trauma does not form if somebody feels heard? Like if you just hold space for somebody to vent, it doesn't have to connect in their neural pathways into this toxic thing that we just bury. So we tend to suppress emotions because let's be honest, divorce feels like grief. It's like someone died or a version of you died, and then you don't know who you are after that. In my situation, there were no children involved, which was a blessing. But I actually have a friend who did. She ended up, becoming a single mom and raising her kids all on her own. And it's not just one. I have multiple people in my life who have gone through that instance, right? In my case, it was financial debt. I had to rebuild. It took me a couple of years and honestly, a lot of stumbles to get to a place where money and I have made peace. I joke and I say me and money are in therapy, but I've come a long way from feeling dependent on someone else to feeling autonomous and whole and complete. My personal struggle has not been necessarily around making money. I'm good at that. It's been more holding the masculine. But in turn, that area of my life was shut down because in childhood there was sexual trauma. Then I married somebody who unfortunately was the wrong person. Coming out of that divorce, there was a lot of shame. There was a lot of guilt. There was this feeling of failure of, wow, I could have done more. I should have really tried harder. But let's be honest, that was not the right relationship. And God was telling me every which way I needed to leave. In hindsight, I wish I did it sooner, but everything happened exactly how it was intended. Now, fast forward a couple of years of, financial struggles, getting up, getting back down, getting up, getting back down, emotional struggles of dating the wrong person, meeting somebody who was like, oh, they're it, and then being heartbroken again. Until about a year ago, I had a friend who I love very dearly who confronted me to my face. She was like, do you believe in love? Like, what is love for you? And I already had these prompts. My teacher gave them to me months, if not years ago, and I just could not sit. I would skip those. And this is where the spiritual community stays in the love and light. And we don't really want to look at the shadows, but divorce is grief. Grief is pain. Pain is sadness. We got to cry. We got to feel it. Not only that, we're angry. If you're a woman who has gone through divorce or is currently going through it, you know there is this burning rage inside of you. And a lot of times we don't know who it's directed to. We turn it onto the person and be like, they did this to us. That's the first stage, victimhood, right? And then there's the second stage where it's like, oh, I'm attacking myself. I'm the failure. I made the mistake. And then the rage is turned towards yourself. The reality of it is, we just need to release it. It doesn't matter what was right or what was wrong. If that's what was intended and it's what needed to happen, now you're here. So the goal is to rebuild. The thing about it is that until you release that anger and that sadness and you go through all five stages of grief, you're never going to get to acceptance. You are never going to let love in. And one thing that's very common is we tend to rebound. We're like, yeah, let me meet this person, get with them. And you really think that's going to work. But it's like putting honey on top of crap. So we're literally having a little crab sandwich, but there's honey on it. And we're like, oh, we love them. But the reality is you attract who you are. So until you heal the original wound that happened before you got married, because you selected that partner, right? At your best, that's what you felt like you deserved. It's a self worth issue. It's a seeing yourself whole and complete, is that you deserve better. And I will speak only for myself because that's all I have the ability to do, right? Who I was at 21 when I met my ex-husband was somebody who had no idea who she was. I grew up in a Dominican household and I grew up living for other people. I'm the eldest daughter. I mean, my brother's older, but I'm the daughter. And there was a lot of responsibility. I had this adult gene growing up, right? And I got married at 21, no big deal. Dominicans do it all the time. But I really thought I was happy, you guys. I really thought that was the relationship that God intended for me. And I forced it. I really, really wanted children. Did not happen. I really wanted things to go my way. And if the harder that I held on to it, the more that it crumbled. In everybody's instances, the situations are different. Sometimes it's addiction, sometimes it's abuse, sometimes it's just people fall out of love because they realize this is not who I am and I'm not living in alignment with myself. Whatever the reason, whatever got you into that state in the first place, that cannot be the person that continues to move forward. Because even if you move on and you attract a different partner, right? You're just attracting a different version of the same thing. So hypothetically, let's say my ex-husband was, I don't know, a doctor. Great, certificate, smart, successful. This is not factual, by the way. And then I move on and I start dating somebody who's in IT. That's great. Still successful, different certificate, but no, he's not a doctor. He's better than that. Is it? It's still the same behaviors. And maybe my ex-husband was physically abusive. Maybe this partner is verbally abusive. Then I move on from them and I'm dating someone completely different, someone who's a photographer and travels the world, right? But maybe this person is manipulative. Maybe this person cheats. The foundation of the pain is the same thing as I have not healed the part of me that believes that I deserve better. So we can continue to date up. We can continue to seek a partner that's nothing like our ex. We can continue to harbor all this pain, but the reality is that we're just destroying pieces of ourselves the longer that we avoid what's really happening. Again, I go back to that friend who confronted me, and I joke she had me weeping in that car because it was like there was a before and after. Before that conversation, I could pretend that I'm like, I'm good, I'm healing, I'm doing better. But after that conversation, there was the awareness of, oh my goodness, I am jaded. I stopped believing in love. I stopped believing that I could have a partner who would love me for who I am. I stopped showing sides of myself. It's almost like I buried the sweet, loving, kind, wifey version of me because nobody deserves access to that. And I just became cold hearted. And instead of using things that like drive and ambition, I became controlling and manipulative. And again, it's this internal struggle of, I will never be hurt again. But the only way to let love in is to be willing to be hurt again. So I don't know why I felt called to make this video. I'm just trusting that this is what God wanted me to share. But I've just seen a lot of pain and a lot of suppressing and a lot of avoidance, and life will trigger that back out. Sometimes, again, going through a move, sometimes going through like a physical illness. And these are real scenarios of people in my life right now that their grief is coming up now, 10 years later, 8 years later, 15 years later, because they're just now slowing down enough to feel it. Whether it's clearing out that closet and seeing the visual representation of everything they were holding on to, or whether it's their body shutting down and just being sick because the pain is getting so severe and we just keep ignoring it up here that your body's like, you're just going to lay on this bed and think about how much pain you're in. And even then, we tend to want to turn our face and be like, no, this is unrelated. My love, I'm here to tell you that it is related. Your autoimmune disease, connected to your pain. Your mental health issues, connected to your pain. Your inability to get out of bed and just cry and not even understand why you're crying is connected to your pain. So, my love, if you've been through a really tough breakup, I'm talking any relationship above like 3 to 4 years, or someone that you lived with, or a full on divorce, heal. Stop running. Start facing your pain. If you don't know where to start, hi, hello, I can point you in the right direction. I am by no means claiming to be the expert. I just know that somebody needs to hear this. And sometimes it's as simple as somebody willing to speak the truth. I was young and naive, sure, but it's been almost a decade. It would be a shame for me to stay exactly the person that I used to be. And I'm very grateful. Life led me down the path of breaking me down and rebuilding me back up as a new version. But I've seen so many beautiful women just give up They stop looking for love. They're like, I have to raise my kids. They become so driven by their pain, so driven by their scars. And I did it too. Mine just looked different. Mine was an addiction. Mine was drinking and partying and sleeping around. And there is no shame because at the time in my life, that is what I needed in order to cope. But then the pain gets too loud and it gets to be too much. And there has to be a certain level of it's time to address it. So I felt called to make this video. I'm really just going to start trusting what's coming up and make the videos as I feel led. Sometimes they're going to be more fun. Sometimes they're going to be more honest. And this is one of those vulnerable moments that I just know somebody's praying for this. And instead of holding the message and the tools and the ability to help to myself, I'm just going to turn the camera on and provide it here for whoever needs it. So if you are going through divorce and grief and anger, I'm not saying your problems are going to go away in one day because there's parts of me that are still healing. But I can tell you that sometimes the biggest wound that you have can become your biggest purpose. And for me, I always say I'm helping me. Like I wish I had me 10 years ago, or I'm helping little Jordy. If I could sit across from that 21-year-old girl and tell her how beautiful she is, how smart she is, how driven she is, how she's so gifted at just picking up information, gifted at making people feel loved, gifted at holding space, I would have been traveling the world just serving. I would have been volunteering. I would have been laughing more. I would have spent a lot less time punishing my body, punishing myself, punishing other people for the pain that somebody else caused. And here's the kicker. You ready for this? It's never your spouse. It's always your childhood, babe. It's always what happened to you. It's always what you made it mean. And the reality is, I've done a lot of work because, again, through my own pain, learning about trauma and how it gets stuck in your body and what is trauma and how does your brain process it? How does it get stuck in your body? And what does it look like? And my obsession with astrology and human design and Reiki, these are tools that I have needed to understand myself deeper. Because that's another thing. If you don't know you, if you don't understand how you think, how you're wired, how you're made, what you're prone to do, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because as much as I am a sweet girl, there's still a part of me that is abusive. I abuse myself. There's still a part of me that is judgy. There's still a part of me that is narcissistic because when you grow up in an environment that's really toxic, you become your environment. And the thing is that you grow up and you're like, they did this to me, my ex-husband this, my ex-husband that, my love. Sometimes you're the problem and you attract who you are. And we're not in any way condoning or looking back and placing blame. I just want you to like, instead of being consumed in the picture, to like zoom out and step out of the picture and really look. If this was your daughter, would you be proud that that's the man that she chose or the woman that he chose? If this was your child, would you celebrate the time that they got beat up by their partner? Would you celebrate the fact that their partner cheated on them? Would you be proud of them for staying even though they lied? This is the last time they're going to do it. You would never. As a mom, as a woman, that instinct would kick in of like, why would you accept that? But then I ask you, why do you? You've already decided to walk away. Divorce was step one. But what you cannot continue to do is to repeat the cycle in a different way with a different person. The only way to change the narrative, my love, is to change yourself, is to do the work to become the woman that you needed, to sit you down, the mother you didn't have, the friend you didn't have, to sit you down and tell you you deserve better. But really get to the root of why you don't believe that you do. Why don't you believe that you get to be happy? Why don't you believe that you're worth more? Why don't you believe that your body is sacred? Why are we giving it away? Why are we giving our time, our energy, our bodies to people who give us so little? We're literally looking for breadcrumbs when we could have the whole loaf. But I will speak again as myself. I didn't know better. I had never seen an example of that. Even though my parents have been married for 30 something years, their journey was not as straightforward. And I love them, but I don't want the relationship that they have. It took years for them to get to the place that they are now. They look like they're dating now. I want the relationship that is based on health. There's no codependency. We really see each other as whole and complete. You deal with your pain, I deal with mine. We don't bring it into the house. And even when we do get triggered, we don't make it about the other person. But this level of awareness, this level of maturity, this level of growth came from being willing to look at the parts of myself that I was avoiding all those years. So, again, I don't know who this message is for. I don't even know why I felt called to speak on it. This is usually not an area that I open up publicly about. But whoever you are, my love, I see you and I see your pain. And if you can see yourself reflected in me, I hope you do, because it does get better. If I see myself 10 years ago, we wouldn't even be friends today, but I would know exactly what she needed to hear. So that's why I showed up today. So I hope this video served you. I'm going to be creating a lot more videos with tools. So if you're like, I don't know where to start, how do I regulate my nervous system? What does that even mean? Why am I wired the way that I am? My love, drop your questions below, because my intention is to create a safe space where, first of all, I'm going to have fun talking about all these tools that I love, like astrology, human design, and Reiki and somatic healing, but also a hub where you can feel safe to ask a question, to find a tool, to learn something new, to find community, to feel like you belong. So, whatever it is in this channel that drew you in, I hope you stick around, because sometimes just sticking around somebody who believes a little bit better than what you believe for yourself can shift your entire consciousness. Like, somebody can literally upgrade you just by being around you. So I love you. Welcome to my channel if it's your first time. Leave comments for me, questions if you have them. I would love it if you subscribed. I would love to actually connect with you guys. But if not, and you stuck around this long, I hope this video served you. Even if we never see each other again, I wish you the best. You got this, and you chose yourself. Now, really give yourself a chance to be happy by being willing to look at the places that you've avoided all this time. I love you.